Okay, we did all the chapter 3. It talks about the we create story maps and map layout. That's everything we had. Map design, interactive map. So now we're going to move with the second part. It's talking about chapter 4. We will do file, geodatabase. And then the units, we did the visibility range and each different part of layout, which is very nice that we have some parts here. And this is the city of Pittsburgh walkability map, which is nice as well. And layout, different kinds of layout and figures and bad layout features that everything is there, so it's hard to focus on. So exporting and sharing layout, and we can just save as different file that you can just export it, layout, share. That story map that we did, it's very interesting, and you can put everything here so you can interact with the map and you can read stuff, and you can put table images, and we did Excel and we did scatter plot and bar chart. Very interesting. And then we have the workflow for creating story maps, and we went into detail. Then we're going to do a little bit more for geodatabase, and we interact with ArcGIS Online, and I did with my ArcGIS collector was working, and we have the Excel table, and we can import it to the ArcGIS Online, and also we can export it out as well. So now we're going to move on geodatabase. There, I like this image. So now geodatabase, we will work with the tables, two kinds of tables in ArcGIS. So we will have a feature attribute table and table just with the geocodes. So and the external table file, we will explain with the obscure2 text with comma spread value, CSV, and it's very transportable format, very large file, and you can put a stuff there, and you put a notepad, and you can TXT, you can import it to CSV, and CSV you can open it from ArcGIS Online. But they expanded. I didn't know this, but good to know the data. And then database table, different kinds of things here. Microsoft Access table base, that we can have up to 2 GB file size, but they have some other limits. So data table format, columns and rows, columns, fields, and rows, records are observations. So the data table format that we already see every now and then, and we will use some parts. When we join table, we do have to deal with the primary key that each value is unique. There are no null values, so that's the primary key. Each value is unique and there are no null values. Very important. So when we work with SQL, that we will later my videos, I will put more information there for the primary key and foreign key. So geocode that FIPS code, Federal Information Processing Standards, and the American National Standards Institute code. So ANSI, American National Standard Institute code. I wish I can remember all these things. It's just difficult for my memory. Anyway, but if you don't remember, you if there's no test, you can just Google it. It doesn't matter. It takes extra 2 minutes. Then I just use my weekend to do some extra work. If I don't remember some terms, but usually it doesn't matter. You can just get the work done. Anyway, countries, states, provinces, and counties, metropolitan statistic areas, MSAs, cities, places, Indian reservations, airports, and post offices in the U.S. So that we replace those FIPS code, okay? And the American National Standard Institute codes, political boundaries. So, for example, they have something like this, and political boundary features, and so. And statistical boundaries, that's how some parts get changed and class and define the border. So other geocode example, we have a postal zip code, congressional district, school districts, local government, cadastral data block, and lot number. So cadastral data, legal boundaries, we have those blocks, and parcel ID numbers, that's how we have those parcel ID, and XY data. Data table include XY attributes, example, latitude and longitude, and comment the GPS data. Export as a feature class, so that we can export data as well. And U.S. Census Bureau geospatial data that U.S. Census Bureau that they started building a map infrastructure in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and the census mapping, there were twofold. Number one is assign census employees to areas of responsibility covering the entire country and its possessions. And then they report and display census tabulations by area. Officials determined that the smallest area needed for these purposes is a city block or its equivalent. And the census tiger file, it's difficult to remember these. Topological integrated geographic encoding and referencing. Topologically integrated geographic encoding and referencing. Topologically integrated geographic encoding and referencing. Available for entire United States and possessions, comprehensive and detail include following geographic features: roads, street, and central lines, railroads, rivers, lakes, census statistical boundaries. And now the tiger census tracts. Statistical boundary below county and minor civil division level between 1,000 and 8,000 people in general, 1,700 housing units or 4,000 people. Homogeneous population characteristic, economic status, and living conditions. Normally, boundary follows visible features, may follow governmental unit boundaries and other non-visible features. And the tiger census block group subdivision of a census tract for 100 housing units with a minimum of 250 and a maximum of 550 housing units, and follow clearly visible features such as roads, rivers, and roads. And the census blocks, smallest geographic areas for each of the Census Bureau collects and tabulates disseminate census information, block boundaries, visible streets, roads, streams, shoreline, etc. Invisible county line, city limit, property line, etc. Limited data attributes. And the census decennial census data summary file, that short form 100% population, 1990, 2000, and 2010, etc. Population, age, sex, race, family, household, housing units. I came to United States 2010. That was they sent out a survey for the census. And tracts, block groups, and blocks. And summary file and 2000 and earlier long form in 1 in 6 house, random income, poverty, educational attainment, citizenship, and employment, workplace, disability, transportation, travel, time to work, detail housing, attributes, housing value, etc. Language spoken, ancestry, tracts, blocks, groups. So they are a little more detail. And then we have American Community Survey, started in 2005 and replaces the decennial long-term form SF3 census questionnaire. Randomly selects about 3 million addresses each year to participate. Could be buyers. Uses the master address file MAF. So accurate, up-to-date inventory of all known living quarters and places of employment in the United States, Puerto Rico, and associated island areas. Has rolling 1, 3, 5, and 5-year estimates and 95% confidence intervals. Add and subtract margin of error to or from estimate to get the confidence interval. So that we have data pulled to produce ACS 1-year estimate, populations of 65,000 plus not available for tracts or block groups, and ACS 3-year estimate, population of 2,000 not available for tracts or block groups. ACS 5-year estimates, population of almost any size available for tracts and block groups. And the ACS survey questions: age, sex, race, family and relationships, income and benefits, health insurance, education, veterinarian status, disability, where you work and how you get there, where you live, and how much you pay, certain essentials. Other census feature geographies, census tiger products that we can view from their website, and they have their detailed information there. Usually I will go there and download some of the information there. Cartographic boundary files, generalized boundaries files clipped to a simplified version used for small-scale thematic maps. And KML, cartographic boundary files, the counties and census tracts, geographic identifier 2010 sensors, and the tiger web, linear feature roads, highways, streets, railroads, rivers, streams, and other single line drainage area, water, river, lakes, and glacials. Shapefile is a legacy format that we will talk a little bit more. We're already working on Shapefile for a long time. And for table join, that there are some puts two tables together on the fly to make one table. So we can do one-to-one join or one-to-many join. And feature attribute tables, data table, same geocode. So one-to-one join. So for example, that we just add the column. They have the same row, and we just add those columns to expand it more. Information there. So candidates fields to join, so that we have the same geo identification ID, so that based on that we can join together, just like we add more rows here. But problem with different fields type, we have to do some editing. The solution is create a new numeric field and calculate values from text fields so that we can join tables. So when we join tables, we right click on tracks layer, joins and relates, and go to join. So classify per capital income field, value will only appear with number fields. So and we do have a spatial join. We will talk about a little bit. Let me back up a little bit. In SQL, we do have join and union. So join, that we put different columns together, but when we union, for example, we have the same, everything is the same for the column, and we can just, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have maybe another 6 records from 6 to 12 that we expanded. So the columns are the same, and we just add more rows. For join, we add more columns. So, but in ArcGIS, we talk about join as more add more columns here. Okay, anyway, we will jump to spatial joins. Spatial joins, that joins features not attribute field, enable data aggregation, counting, or summing points by polygon. So the common spatial joins is points to polygon counts, and polygons to points adds text. Points to points creates distances. point to polygon join, drag offenses by neighborhood, start with crime points, neighborhood and polygons, points to polygon that this is this, and that when we join drag offenses by neighborhood,